Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today on this bright and sunny day, I've gotten my hands on one of the highly anticipated luxury SUVs to come to market later this year. That's right, this big green beauty right behind me that looks like a Bentley is the 2021 Genesis GV80 SUV, the company's first ever crossover vehicle. Now, in today's video, I'm not going to be able to drive this car just yet because this one here behind me is an early pre-production model and it doesn't actually have tags on it. I will be driving the GV80 and the G80, the 2021 G80, later in the fall, so stay tuned, of course, for that video. But in this video, I'm going to go over all the reasons why the 2021 GV80 is one of the most impressive new luxury SUVs and why you should wait for it. So the last time I saw this thing in person, I was in Miami Beach earlier this year. Genesis unveiled the car at this private venue. Unfortunately, it was very dark because it was at night, and the one that I had to film was parked on the street on Miami Beach with the road not being closed. So it was a little difficult to see and show just how beautiful the car is. But today, obviously, Genesis has sent me the car for the next 6 hours today. And I have to say, seeing it in person here in my local areas, this thing has some presence to it. It looks exactly, to me, like a better Bentley Bentayga. You can see, looking at the design of the GV80, this one here is the fully loaded Prestige model with the 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But as you can see, the Genesis new corporate styling here, this grille is certainly big, bold, in your face. It's glitzy, it's glamorous. It really fits the styling of this car. I just love the way this looks. I love the way the Bentley, or the Genesis logo looks a lot like a Bentley or an Aston Martin. It's just very classy and elegant. All Genesis GV80 models will come standard with the company's quad beam full LED headlights. You can see it has 4 individual LED diodes. It has an LED daytime running light, LED turn signals, no fog lights on these models, but you can see Genesis has done a really good job with updating the styling and finding their own design language. You can see it's got a front camera system here. The radar sensor for the adaptive cruise control has been moved down there. It's much more fleshly integrated, which is a huge improvement over, of course, the earlier Genesis models. Now, the GV80 is a mid-size crossover designed to compete with something like the Audi Q7, the BMW X5, the Mercedes-Benz GLE, and you can also compare this to an Acura MDX or Lexus RX. This Prestige model comes with 22-inch wheels. That's right, 22-inch wheels wrapped in 265 wide tires. These wheels are some of my favorite production wheels that I've seen so far. I love the clean 5-spoke design. And being a mid-size model, Genesis says that the wheelbase on this car is around 116 inches long and it stretches around 195 inches long. So this is right smack in the middle of mid-size proportions, about the same size as, of course, the company's G80 sedan. I just love the way this thing looks. I think it has excellent proportions. It has really clean lines. It looks elegant. It looks classy. This is really going to set the market on fire when it goes on sale later this year. Now, of course, the rear has taillights that kind of mimic what you get in the front with the quad beams. These are full LED taillights. You have the Genesis logo spelled out on the back. There's no wing emblem back here. And then, of course, there's also a very subtle all-wheel drive badge at the back. The exhaust tips you can see at the bottom are nicely integrated. They also kind of match the way the grille looks. They call that the Genesis Crest grille. Everything back here just has a really classy, elegant look to it. Now, of course, this has a power liftgate. To open that up, you actually have to push this button over here. But once you open up the tailgate, you can see I don't have cargo figures just yet, but this particular one here has a 3rd row. It's optional, of course. It's like a $800 option if you want that. It is a power folding 3rd row where you can basically push this button right here and the 3rd row itself will fold flat. Now, looking at the class of vehicle, I would estimate that the GV80 probably has around 40 cubic feet of space with 3rd row seat down, maybe around 15 with it up. If you fold down everything, most vehicles in this segment have roughly around 75 to 85 cubic feet of space, and the GV80 certainly looks like no exception. So underneath that big long hood, you're probably wondering what's powering the new GV80. Well, when this thing goes on sale, Genesis will launch it with 2 engines. The base engine will be a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. That's the same motor that we see in the Sonata N-Line. This motor here, however, is a new Genesis-specific engine. It's a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6, and in this car it makes 375 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque. That's about 75 more ponies than what you get in the 4-cylinder, which makes a nice even 300. This should be just enough power to move this SUV. Of course, we don't have weight yet, we don't have fuel economy yet. It all goes out through an 8-speed torque converter automatic with either your choice of rear-wheel drive, that's right, this is a rear drive platform, or all-wheel drive like my Tester, which is like a $2,500 upcharge on top of additional options. Now, of course, like I said before, we don't have performance figures yet, and I'm not able to drive this car just yet either, but I'll let you guys start it up when we go into the interior part. You can hear this engine. This is going to be an engine that you'll find in other Genesis products, and there's rumors that this will also show up in the refreshed 2021 Kia Stinger. So obviously the exterior of the GV80 really impressed me when I first saw this thing. It's even more beautiful out in the sun, but the interior is another area where Genesis is absolutely killing it, and this generation of vehicles is introducing an all-new interior for them. And as you can see, the green exterior is complemented by this two-tone brown interior, brown and black interior of my Tester. It has really premium materials like metal, real wood, lots of leather stitching, and the seats are absolutely phenomenal. This has like a diamond quilted material. They are heated and cooled, and the front seats offer a pneumatic massage feature that's part of the Prestige package. So the seats themselves, I would put them against anything you can get from all the Germans, all the Japanese. They are really plush, comfortable seats. The rest of this interior, you can see, just looks very modern, very upscale. I didn't really like this Genesis steering wheel when I first saw it, but seeing it here, I guess I could get used to it. It's a really nice, comfortable place to rest your hand there when you're driving this thing. Now, the Prestige model, or on this trim, gives you soft closed door. So all I have to do is just kind of tap the door and it'll shut for me automatically. Or let's hear the door slam sound. Again, it didn't actually shut all the way there, but the soft close feature is nice. The door has a nice solid sounding thunk. So again, really impressive quality, initial quality. This is an all new platform like I mentioned before. Now, this key fob you can see is a new Genesis specific key. This car does have that Smart Park feature that they introduced, that Hyundai introduced on the Sonata. So you can make the car pull out of a parking spot or come or pack back into a parking spot. It also has remote start. You can open up the tailgate area. It's a nice looking key. It's a really good size. It has this really nice soft rubberized material and it feels very sturdy and high quality. It's not terribly large. The push to start button is over here. And you can hear, just like other luxury cars, this has a very soft, quiet, very just elegant feel, even at startup with this car. And that's important when you're looking at something like this. The drive mode selector, or when you switch over the drive modes, you can see this car kind of gives you a different look to the gauges. These, by the way, are the three-dimensional gauges. You can turn that on and off. You can really see how cool the 3D effect looks. I think this is definitely a first in the industry. I've never seen something like this before, so I think that's very cool. It's in sport mode right now. Let's take a listen to the engine. Obviously, this isn't supposed to be a sport SUV or anything like that, but it's a very smooth SUV, and Genesis does give you that augmented, or that sound enhancer system through the speakers. Now, obviously, I can't show you how it drives yet because I can't drive this on the road, but I'm looking forward to, because it's already giving me really great first impressions. Now, looking at the rest of this cabin, you can see a lot of real stitching is all over the dash. Everywhere the dash is completely stitched. There's a massive 14.5, that's right, a 14.5-inch tablet-style screen that sticks right out of the dash. That is also a touchscreen. It has the latest version of the Genesis infotainment system. It's basically an updated Hyundai system. The leather stitching continues over here onto the door panels, where you have real metal here for the door handles. You have that matte finish wood that you get with the advanced package. You have two-person memory seats. You have all these new controls and knobs and buttons here. You can see it has a really high-quality tactile feel. The windows are one touch for all four, which I didn't expect anything less. You have power folding mirrors, of course. All these buttons are trimmed in metal. You have some real nice leather down here on the door panels. It's also a soft touch injection molded plastic material down here. This car also has the Lexicon stereo system, which I would put it up against any of the Bang & Olufsen, Mark Levinson, Bowers & Wilkins, Burmester sound systems that you get in all of its European competitors. The steering wheel is power tilt and telescoping. That's something that Volvo could learn a thing or two from, since they don't offer that on the XC90, which I would also compare this thing to an XC90 as well. And I just think this car's overall presence is just beautiful. I'm really impressed. You can see when I cycle through pushing this button over here, you can also turn on the automatic, adaptive lane keep assist, whatnot. You can really see the three-dimensional effect. I think it looks cool. I don't love how the tack is kind of going counterclockwise. It's kind of driving me crazy. I wish it would turn the other way. But that's a really interesting design element. Now, obviously, I want to talk about the infotainment system in this car because you can use it like a touchscreen. Like I said, this is pretty similar to the last Hyundai Sonata that I drove, which had a 12 or 10.25 inch screen. This is just 4 inches larger. This is what the home screen looks like. You can see this is the Genesis GPS system in this car, which is pretty similar to the ones you see in other Hyundai products, but it has been updated slightly. And I think the system is very quick to respond. This is a little bit of a far reach. Now, if this is too far for you, you can use this Genesis controller right here, which this is not like a touchpad or anything like that. It's a wheel that you scroll around, and you can also kind of push these and push the enter button when you actually want to select something. There's also some hard shortcut buttons. There's a volume knob and a tuning knob. Over here, it's a dial actually, which is really all high quality. I love the crystal-like shifter. The glass shifter that you get here, when you twist it all the way to the left, it goes to reverse, and you can see there's a full 360 camera. It looks fantastic. It has very excellent resolution. It also takes up almost the entire screen, so I love that. When I put it into drive, you can see it gives you the front camera system with parking sensors. This is all very impressive. It's what I expect in something like this. So the Japanese really have something to do to catch up. Now, let's go to the CarPlay here. You can see very massive screen. Now, you can't actually take up the entire screen here, but you don't really need to because this in itself is probably already 12 inches, and I think that's pretty impressive. Let's pull up the Waze here. You can see very, very nice integration here. Love the big screen. This is just super cool. Like, I love everything about this car with the way the screen looks. I think this is a really, really great system. I'm really impressed that Genesis is putting an infotainment system like this in this vehicle. It takes a little bit of a learning curve, but I think once you figure it out, you've been in other Hyundai products, it's not bad for sure. Now, of course, it does have those features like the sounds of nature, where it'll play, you know, all these nature sounds to kind of create like a nice calming effect in the cabin. I've seen that before, of course, in the Sonata. You can hear the stereo system in this car sounds pretty good. If you go into the settings in this vehicle, you can go to setup, you can change all your different settings here, your drive mode settings, your driver assistance stuff. You can also mess with the ambient interior lighting in here, which is cool. Genesis offers several different colors to choose from with interior lighting, and of course that's all very important when you're looking at a vehicle like this. That's something that a lot of people like to, you know, customize, and you can also set a custom color if you guys don't like any of the preset colors here. I imagine this interior looks beautiful at night. Wish I could show you, but they're literally picking up the car in 2 hours, so I won't be able to do that. You can see the rest of this cabin. The dual zone climate control is down here, where you've got a little screen here in the climate control, which is definitely cool. You have the cool seats over here, which is nice. You have 2-level heated steering wheel. I like this beautiful screen here. It looks great. You have a wireless phone charger down here, 2 USB charging points. You can see there's that Genesis controller, the shifter, the drive mode selectors over here. You can also activate the 4-wheel drive lock system and the downhill assist control. When you switch the drive modes, you can see there's like several different modes: sport, comfort, eco, snow, and then of course there's a custom mode. So this is all very, very impressive. I'm really looking forward to actually driving this car when it does go on sale. Opening up this area, you can see it's a big center stack right here, which is fairly nice. You can see Genesis also gives you these cool buttons where I can move the seat forward and back if I'd like, where I don't have to stretch my arm over there. And this is actually a pretty wide vehicle. I'm impressed with how like far away like the actual passenger side is from me. This feels roomier than other vehicles like the Lexus RX and the Acura MDX. Now, of course, this is a mid-size family SUV, so you're probably wondering, how's the space in the second row? Well, as you can see, it is pretty big. At initial glance, when I first open up the door, I don't have the specific legroom figures yet, but I'd say this is probably around almost 40 inches of legroom. Those seats also recline. They slide forward and back. They have a little feature here where I can push this button here and it slides the seat forward here to get into the third row of this vehicle, which I'll do that in just a moment. But I think that's a really great upscale feature, and the seats themselves have the same quilted diamond stitching. These are also heated and cooled in the second row. That's part of the Prestige package that my tester has. Now, getting back here, you can see legroom is pretty good, actually. I'm really impressed. Let me shut the door. This also has a soft closing feature, which is definitely nice. You also have power rear sunshades back here, which is fantastic. I love that. And then above me, you can see there is a panoramic sunroof that this particular one has. When you open this up, you can see It's not a continuous one piece. There is a bar here that kind of splits the two apart. And you can see once I did that, I opened up the sunroof here. You also have a nice Alcantara headliner here, which is really great. Love the natural light that comes in. It brightens up an otherwise dark cabin. Now getting back here, this is the seat all the way back. I can also slide it forward and kind of basically shove my knees into the front seats. That gives third row seat passengers a little bit more legroom if you'd like. You can see back here, you've got your own set of climate controls. You've got cooled seats, heated seats, which is again part of that Prestige package. You have two USB ports, actual 150 watt household power outlet, which is nice. You have two map pockets, like I said, and you have all the same leather stitching, metal speakers down here. It's even soft touch down here in this lower area, so I wasn't expecting something so upscale. When I fold this down, you can see just a standard armrest. Genesis also gives you two cup holders, so they're kind of found in the armrest here. So overall, the second row is super nice. I'm not entirely sure if Genesis is going to offer captain's chairs. I kind of like how they don't, because it does give this thing the 7-passenger seating, which if you guys had captain's chairs, it would limit that to 6. Now I wanted to show you guys the third row because I didn't get a chance to actually sit in it when I first saw this car in Miami. Now, as I said before, you can push this button right here and the seat kind of folds forward and slides out of the way to give you some space to get back into the third row. And as you can see, the space is definitely not what I would say plentiful. I mean, in this class, like the Lexus RX 350L, which is even smaller than this, or the Acura MDX, this is probably pretty competitive. But let me get back here and show you guys what it's like. Now, okay, so let me readjust the camera here. I am only 5'7", guys, so keep in mind I'm not the tallest person. My hair is touching the ceiling of this vehicle, and again, I'm not very tall. My knees, as you can see, are kind of hitting the back of this. Now you can move this seat forward, like I said before, but it will eat into the space. But I'd probably say this is pretty comparable to the last Volvo XC90 or Acura MDX or Audi Q7 that I last sat in. So again, this is not a big SUV that can carry, you know, full-size adults in the third row, but for children to work in a pinch, this is probably something that should suffice. You can also kind of find different things back here, like your own rear seat vents. There's some also premium materials back here, although this is all kind of hard touch plastic, but I like how the controls are lined in aluminum or metal. And then there's a nice little storage cubby on this side here with another cup holder, more of those vents and whatnot. So this is so far not a really bad place to spend time, so you can actually fit, you know, I'd say somebody of my height or shorter in the third row. So obviously, without being able to drive the new GV80, it's really hard for me to say just how impressive this car is. But I will say, just spending a couple hours with it, playing around with the infotainment system, trying out the second and third rows, sitting in those comfortable seats, seeing this thing in person, I have no doubt that the new GV80 is one of the most impressive new luxury SUVs, and it goes on sale in the fall, so you only have to wait a couple more months. Now, speaking of which, Genesis has always been pretty good about offering a ton of value on a lot of their products, and the new GV80 is no exception. This thing starts at $48,900 plus destination. That makes it roughly around $5,000 less expensive than a BMW X5, a Mercedes-Benz GLE, and Audi Q7. It does make the GV80 around $4,000 more expensive than a Lexus RX and an Acura MDX. Now, I would argue that this is a far more impressive vehicle on paper, and when you start, you know, messing around with the controls versus the Japanese competitors, and really this is going to put the Japanese on edge because there's a new MDX and RX coming out soon, and this easily rivals the best that I've driven from Audi, from BMW, and from Mercedes, but at a far less expensive price tag. Now, speaking of which, this one here, the fully loaded V6 with all-wheel drive in the Prestige package, stickers for a lot more, fully loaded, this one's around $72,000, which is about $8,000 more than the last Lexus RX 350L that I drove. I would easily pay that for something like this, and I imagine those of you who want one of these are probably going to be paying close to sticker. Genesis says they have roughly 14,500 reservations for this car when it goes on sale, so if you guys want one, rush on over to your local Genesis dealer, because this thing is definitely going to be a hot car. It looks even better than the Bentley Bentayga. It has a lot of presence to it, and it's of course going to come with one of the best warranties in the business and their 3-year concierge service where you don't even have to go to the dealer. Genesis will come to your house and do everything for you whenever this car needs service. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2021 Genesis GV80. Be sure to come back in the fall when I actually am able to drive this thing. I can give you my full driving impressions, but if you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.